Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, March 27th. I am so happy it is Friday. I am very tired this week. I have been working a lot this week, believe it or not, doing lots of professional developments and webinars about how to best teach students virtually. And I learned some really great things this week. I actually learned how to set up a vocab jam from vocabulary.com, and I know how much you all love those, so I'm actually going to schedule a vocab jam for sometime next week. So I'll let you guys know on Monday when that's going to be so that you guys can plan to log on during that time. I'll make it for later in the week, like Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week, so you have a couple days to plan ahead. So I'm excited for that. And I also learned about another app that some of you should have access to through BPS Clever called Learning Ally. And I guess that has some cool resources for any of you who are struggling to read or to comprehend some of these texts and questions and things like that at home. So I need to look into that a little bit more, but that was another one that I did. So yeah, busy week for me. I'm excited for this weekend. It's my husband's birthday tomorrow. So he'll be 29 last year before he's 30, so that's exciting. And obviously we can't really do much. We've been staying in the house ever since school's been out. I've only gone to the grocery store like twice. So I'll have to think of some fun things that we can do. We recently bought a used Wii game console, so maybe we'll play some games and I can bake him a cake and things like that. So that is our plan for this weekend. My sister, she is in college and she moved most of her stuff out of school 2 weeks ago because she lived there, but now they really have to move all their stuff out. Like 2 weeks ago it was still optional, they could stay if they wanted to, and if they didn't want to stay, they didn't have to take all of their stuff. They could come back later in the year and get the rest of their stuff. But now I guess since things haven't gotten better with the coronavirus, they're like, come get your stuff. So Sunday I have to help my sister with that. So it'll be a busy weekend too. I'm looking forward to just eventually having a day where I can just binge watch Netflix or something. So feel free to comment whatever you guys are watching if you have any recommendations. And just quickly, I want to, I know we usually do our weekly shout outs, and I'm actually going to talk to Miss Cromartie about if we could somehow virtually start to pick people starting next week. But that is difficult because the shout outs are supposed to be about all 4 core values, and it's kind of hard to show all 4 core values virtually. But I will say that you definitely can show your determination and your responsibility virtually. So I want to shout out some people for their determination and responsibility. Liana in 6'3", she is just rocking it. She's definitely the leader of 6'3" right now. So 6'3", if you want a little competition, you have Liana to beat with the amount of work she's completed, the amount of times she's reached out to teachers for questions and things like that. And she also joined us for our optional Zoom hangout on Wednesday, and it was really nice to see her. So shout out to you, Liana. Some people from 6-2 that come to mind. Jamari has been rocking it again. He's completing his work, asking questions when he's confused. He also joined us on our Zoom hangout on Wednesday, and was just super inclusive during that time as well. So I really appreciate you, Jamari. And someone that comes to mind from 6-1 is Jasmine. Jasmine has been going above and beyond to do her work, to ask questions, and also just to check on teachers. She's asked how we're doing, if our families are okay, things like that. So you're so sweet, Jasmine, and we really appreciate that. Some other people I just want to quickly shout out: Fiona, Shifra, Tasia, Charlie, Katiana, Quinn, Lucas, Avon, who are some other people I've talked to a lot this week. I should start making a list, but then if you make a list, it's not as natural and from the heart. So if I missed you, I apologize, but those are just some of the people that come to mind. And like I said, I'll talk to Ms. Cromartie about maybe making a more formal shout-out type format starting next week. Awesome. So I just wanted to catch up a little bit. I miss you guys a lot. And last announcement is that homework is due today. Today is Friday. You have all day to do it. Make sure you submit it by midnight tonight. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and get started with our do now. So make sure you have your notebook or a piece of paper that you're not going to lose, a pencil or something to write with. And you're also going to need your Dragon Wings book eventually if you want to grab that. If you don't have a Dragon Wings book, then you will open the readings when you need to, but you don't need to open those right now. So right now, most important thing is notebook or piece of paper and pencil or something to write with. So our do now word today is timidly. You've probably heard of the word timid or timidly before, and the picture is a very good representation of timidly. So timidly is feeling or showing a lack of courage or confidence. In Dragon Wings, when Ryder said, "I tested the wings timidly at first," this was back when he was telling Moonshadow about his dream with the Dragon King. I've also noticed that some of you have been timidly completing your work since we are not in person in school anymore. There's no need to be timid about completing your work. Right now, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for trying. So as long as you are trying your best, there is no need to be timid. Go ahead and pause this. Make sure that you're also writing your own sentence. Moving on to notes. These notes are very important today because today's worksheet is different from what we've been doing the rest of this week. This week we were doing text-dependent questions, which are basically advanced comprehension questions. Today we're doing a different type of worksheet. So make sure you get these notes written down. The notes today are about theme and central idea, because that's what our worksheet is going to be about today. So, central idea is related to theme, because to find theme, you usually need to find the central idea. So, central idea is the main idea of the text. So, I might ask you what the main idea of page 140 is. I might ask you what the main idea of chapter 6 is. I might ask you what the main idea of a whole book is. So you can chunk text and determine the main idea for different parts of a text. And the way to do that is to look for the key details. What are the most important things that happened in that part of the text? And what is the main point of this part of the text? What does the author want me to know? What does the narrator want me to know? So once you find central idea or main idea, you then can move on to figuring out the theme. And when you're ready to figure out the theme, you need to ask yourself, what lesson did I learn from this central idea? Or what lesson did I learn from this part of the text? And as a reminder, theme is something that can relate to anyone's life. It's not going to be specific to Dragon Wings. It's not going to be specific to Bud Not Buddy. It's not going to be specific to the Lightning Thief. It's not going to be specific to you. It's not going to be specific to me. It's going to be something that could happen in Dragon Wings and could also happen in Bud Not Buddy and could also happen in the Lightning Thief and could also happen in our lives. So even though all of those contexts are so different, theme is something universal, a universal message that anyone can relate to. And so we're going to find the theme of Chapter 6 today. So go ahead and pause this if you're not done with these notes. And I am going to move on to the activity for today. So, my husband has been printing these pieces of paper for me because, of course, my printer isn't working the past couple days. And I forgot to have him print the activity, so I'm just going to show you the activity on my phone. It should look like this on your Google Classroom. Central idea and theme in Chapter 6. So go ahead and open this activity that's attached to this assignment on Google Classroom. And if that's not enough time to look at this, go ahead and pause. All right, and then we're going to start to read the directions, and then I'll let you know what you need to open for the book. So central idea and theme in Chapter 6, directions. Reread pages 142 to 144. So before we even continue, if you have the book, I want you to open up to page 142. If you don't have the book, I want you to open page 142 to 144 on your readings, and I also attached them today. Awesome. So 142 to 144 are the last couple pages of Chapter 6. So this document wants us to look at the last couple pages of Chapter 6. Awesome. Step 2. Write the central idea of Chapter 6 in 1 to 2 complete sentences. So we just went over what central idea is. Another phrase for central idea is main idea. It is the main point or the key point that the author is trying to get us to understand in a certain part of the text. So it looks like if we reread pages 142 to 144, it'll help us remember what the central idea of Chapter 6 was, since we read Chapter 6 2 days ago. I'm going to keep going through the directions to see if there's any other steps that I need right now. Number 3, write 3 key details from the text that support your central idea. So we need to support our claim. If we're going to make a claim, we need to be able to back it up. So those supporting details will be exact pieces of evidence from the text that prove our claim of our central idea. So step 4 is writing the theme. We're not ready for theme yet because we haven't found the central idea. So I'm going to reread pages 142 to 144 right now, and we're going to try to figure out the central idea together. So I am at the top of page 142. If you're not there, please get there. The shafts of colored light shot across the room to where the demoness sat. Okay, I know immediately that the colored light that was so important in this chapter was the stained glass window. So just reading that sentence reminded me of one of the important things in this chapter. So that's what's going on here right now, is he's still looking at the stained glass window. Her skirt seemed to gather in a distorted picture of the dragon in the window, or not really distorted, but an image that was alive. So he used the word her instead of a name, but I can remember that Miss Whitlaw was wearing a skirt in chapter 6, and when he is referring to she or her in this chapter, he's usually referring to Miss Whitlaw because she was the most important female character in this chapter. For the glass had been cast unevenly so that there were odd little flame-like curves in the colors. The image seemed to be so full of life, in fact, that it was bursting out of its outline. And I thought to myself, Mother must be right. The kind of person who would own such a window must surely have been royalty in some other life. I found myself wishing more than ever that Mother could be with me right then. I was sure she would agree with me. Later, as I got to know the demoness, I was to realize that despite her demonic appearance in dress and speech and customs, there was a gentle strength, a sweet loving patience coupled with an iron-hard core of what she thought was right and proper. I was always to think of her as the demoness who kept the dragon fire locked inside a window. After the song, the demoness spoke some more about dragons, and I began to feel sorry for her. Her dragons were sly, spiteful creatures who stole people's gold and killed people for malicious fun. Page 143. They sounded more and more like what Mother and Grandmother had told me about the outlaw dragons. It was a shame that the demoness had not gotten to know the true dragons of the sea, who were wise and benevolent. But Father only smiled when I told him that later when we were back in our stable. You know how the demons are, he said. They turn everything upside down and get everything the wrong way. As I helped Father tug off his boots, I asked him something else that had been bothering me. Do you think the demoness is the ghost of a Tang woman? I mean, she could have forgotten a lot, even if she was a ghost. Father grunted as one boot came off. Maybe, maybe not. I began to work off his other boot. Or do you think the demoness might have been some Tang woman who did something so terrible in a former life that she was reborn here as a white demoness? When the book came off in my hands, Father massaged his feet. Maybe that too. I don't think she can be a ghost, I decided finally. I never heard of a ghost banished from the Middle Kingdom and made to forget so many things. Page 144. But then she must have done something pretty bad if she was reborn over here as a demoness, instead of back in the Middle Kingdom, at least as some kind of animal. Father tousled my hair. You think too much. As I lay down on my mat and pulled the blanket up about my neck, it seemed to me that if this was the case, the demoness would surely be reborn as a rich Tang woman in her next life. I even toyed with the idea that perhaps we had been close to each other in some former life, a mother and child even. If that were so, I at least owed it to her to set her straight on dragons. It was with these thoughts that I fell asleep. So we did the first step. We reread pages 142 to 144, so check. You can put a little check next to it, you can cross it out, you can highlight it, whatever makes sense for you. Step 2, write the central idea of chapter 6 in 1 to 2 complete sentences. So if I look back at our notes today, I'm reminded that to find the central idea, we need to figure out the key details and what the main point of the story is. So we're looking at chapter 6 specifically, and we reread pages 142 to 144 just to remind ourselves of what chapter 6 was about. So if I'm just thinking aloud here, on those pages, we talked about Miss Whitlaw the whole time. So Miss Whitlaw has something to do with our central idea. She is definitely one of the most important parts of chapter 6. And Moonshadow's talking a lot about his point of view of her. So, how Moonshadow feels about her or views her is also very important in chapter 6. So, those were the two most important things to me that we just reread on pages 142 to 144. So, I'm going to look at those notes. And so, I know that the central idea is something about Miss Whitlaw and how Moonshadow feels about her or views her. So, if I were to create my central idea based off of those observations, I would say something like the central idea of chapter 6 is that Moonshadow meets Miss Whitlaw and is trying to figure out how he feels about her. So I'll hold that up to the screen. So my notes are at the top, and then the sentence next to the star is my central idea. So if you agree with that central idea, you can copy that down into your central idea box on your assignment. But if you'd like to take my notes about Miss Whitlaw and Moonshadow's point of view and create a different worded central idea, then that's fine too. But your central idea should definitely have something to do with Miss Whitlaw and how Moonshadow feels about her or his view of her. You can go ahead and pause if you're not finished. So this next part I'm not going to do with you. The next part should be very simple. You are just finding 3 pieces of evidence. It could be on, all 3 of them could be on pages 142, 143, and 144 if you can find 3 on those. But you can also find pieces of evidence throughout the rest of chapter 6, but your evidence has to be from chapter 6. And again, you're finding 3 pieces of evidence that show that 1, Moonshadow meets Miss Whitlaw, and 2, he's trying to figure out how he feels about her. So you're finding 3 pieces of evidence that show that. All right? I'm going to skip that because, like I said, you should be able to do that on your own. And I just want to quickly go over the theme part of the worksheet. So you can pause this video and find your 3 pieces of evidence. That's what I would recommend doing so that your mind is focused on one thing at a time. But if you just want to finish the video, I suppose you can just do that too and listen to me explain the theme part. So I'm on step 4 of the directions. Write the theme of chapter 6. So if I look back again to our notes from today, I know that to find theme, I first need to find central idea. Check, we did that. And now I need to think about what lesson was learned from this chapter, or what lesson does the author want us to learn. So, if my central idea of chapter 6 is that Moonshadow meets Miss Whitlaw and is trying to figure out how he feels about her, then I know my theme has something to do with maybe meeting new people or trying to figure out your feelings for people. So ever since I was little, when I meet someone new, my family would always say to me, don't judge a book by its cover. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's a universal theme or a universal message that we have seen and read and heard in all different books in all different people's lives, from our families, from our friends, things like that. So in chapter 6, Moonshadow is expecting to meet this ugly, mean demon because Miss Whitlaw is a demon and he's only ever known mean, ugly demons. But when he sees her, she's actually much prettier than what he expected, much nicer than what he expected. And towards the end of the chapter, which we just reread, he even compares her to his mother. So, don't judge a book by its cover is definitely a theme of chapter 6 because he ends up feeling completely different about Miss Whitlaw than what he expected to feel for her based on her outer appearance or skin color. So, don't judge a book by its cover is definitely one option. Another option for a theme, another lesson that I think the author was trying to teach us was a lesson about family. So he's going to be living technically in Miss Whitlaw's house. It's technically outside of the house. It's kind of like a shed or a garage. But he's going to be spending a lot of time with these people. And usually you spend a lot of time with your family. And at the end of the chapter, again, he compares her to maybe a mother that he had in a past life. That's how motherly she seems, and nurturing and caring. And he's already feeling a connection with her. So another theme that I'm thinking of is family doesn't have to be blood. Now, he doesn't necessarily consider Miss Whitlaw family yet, but because he's already toying with that idea, I think that it's possible that he will start to view her as family later in the book. So, I'm going to write those two down. I have them written down in my notes, but I should probably write them right here nice and big so you can see them. So, don't judge a book by its cover. Or family doesn't have to be blood. So, whichever one you think you can support best with evidence is the one that you should pick. So those are your two options next to the star. And you should be writing down just one of those, whichever one that you think you can best support with evidence from chapter 6. Go ahead and pause the video if you're not done writing that down. So your last step for theme is to choose one quote. You only need one for the theme. One quote that best proves that your theme is true. So if you choose don't judge a book by its cover, then you should give me a piece of evidence about what Moonshadow thought Miss Whitlaw would look like or be like versus what she actually looks like or acts like. And if you choose family doesn't have to be blood, then I would recommend using one of those quotes about how she may have been his mother in a past life, and that's on page 144 if you want to use one of those. That being said, the rest is up to you. And if you have any questions, you can comment on Google Classroom, you can email, or you can call or text me. If I don't talk to you today after this video, I hope that you and your family and your friends are all healthy. Please stay healthy this weekend. Stay inside the house. It is supposed to be nice out today and tomorrow, so I recommend getting some fresh air, just like I recommended yesterday. But fresh air doesn't mean, going down to the park and touching the dirty playground or asking, all your friends to go down to the park and then be hugging and taking pictures with them and stuff like that. Just go for a walk with, one of your family members and just get some fresh air. But please stay safe and inside the house otherwise. And hopefully, if we all do that, all of this will pass quicker and we'll all be together again soon. All right. Miss and love you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.